Hi, good afternoon to all of you. And thank you all for finding time for this meeting. And I also welcome Mr. Christian Reich. Is that the way you pronounce that?
Reich,
I'm
yes.
sorry if I'm getting it the wrong way. The university, I'll introduce to you to the university. The university was set up almost 10 years before by Mr. Naveen Jindal. So he's one of the large business house in India into steel, power.
Yes.
So he runs steel plants and power plants. So he was a student of UT Dallas. So he met our current vice chancellor in different conferences, Professor Rajkumar, who is a law professor at Hong Kong University, ex-student of Harvard. So they decided to come together and create the university. The university started with the law school first, which is today India's leading law school. Then the business school came second, and currently we have 8 schools. We are a social science university. We have programs like public policy and government, one school. There is School of International Affairs, School of Journalism and Mass Communication, School of Liberal Arts. This year we have 2 new schools, School of Banking and Finance, and 1 school in Art and Design and Architecture. That's how the university is set. So currently 8 schools with around 350 faculty members, 4,500 students. I'll come to the business school. So business school is the second largest school here among all the schools in terms of number of faculty, around 50 now, and number of students, which is around 800 students here. We run programs like a bachelor program in business administration. We run a program, integrated 5-year program. After 12, the student comes and completes his master's and goes out. We run an MBA program. We have also planned for the MBA Business Analytics program with IBM partnership. We run a PhD program also. A couple of executive programs we run in the city. One of the planned executive program is a 1-year program on analytics, which we have planned. And today we are going to inaugurate that program with us. So today we have my colleagues, most of the professors from the business school. We have people from our resource centers, people from JIPS, people from library and other parts of the university, those who are present here. Currently we are on a break here because students have finished their courses, finished their examinations, and they are into internship now. Most of the faculty members, some of them are not here. Those who are here, they are here. Otherwise, we'll have more number of people in this room, but because it's a break time, that's what I told Anuka. So welcome to our school, and thank you for finding some time. I will introduce our guests to all my colleagues, those who are present here. Mr. Christian is an IBM executive with more than 25 years of experience in the IT industry. He is currently Vice President IBM Systems and Chief Technical Officer, IBM Asia Pacific. He started his career in IT with the Austrian banks, developing and introducing software for personal and mobile computers to provide advisory services to clients. In 1988, Christian joined IBM in Austria, working with manufacturing clients, followed by various international leadership positions. Work assignments include roles in IBM sales, service delivery, and leadership roles in IBM services as well as IBM systems business units. He has worked in Europe, Central and Eastern Europe, Middle East and Africa, and now in Asia Pacific. Most of his leadership roles encompass managing transformation, change, and leading new IBM initiatives. He has been based in many countries and has worked with significantly diverse cultural communities. In 2013, Christian was a member of the IBM Smarter Cities executive team, working with the city of Burlington, Vermont, USA, on broad-based greenhouse gas, it's called GHG, reductions that take advantage of smart grid infrastructure and other investments the city has already made. In 2015, Christian was a member of the IBM Smarter Cities executive team, working with Brussels capital region Belgium, Europe to address traffic congestion problems using open data and encourage citizens to participate in mobility improvement efforts. In his current role as Vice President of IBM Systems and AP CTO, Christian is based in Singapore and is responsible for technical sales and technical skills in IBM across Asia Pacific. Christian holds a degree in civil engineering from the Technical University in Graz, Austria, as well as a certificate in management from the Open University Business School, UK. Welcome, sir. Then I hand over to you now.
So thank you so much, and it's a real honor to be here. You even mentioned the name when I joined, the year when I joined IBM, right? So I had my 30th anniversary this year, and I can tell you that it has really been a privilege all these years in different countries, and I have quite a substantial team, and I can tell you that some of the brightest minds that I have are actually from India, and I could give you some examples. So it's really my honor to be here. I think you are at the very centerpiece of what future is about, and I'm so excited to also support you on your journey. So thank you for having me, and thank you for inviting me to talk to you. And I'm happy to share some perspectives on where we see from IBM where we are with the technology and where it is going. Should I just jump into this? So I think when I look back, and you heard about my education, etc., my own life is somehow what I also see happening on a broader scale, right? So I grew up in a very little village in Austria. Austria has mountains, and at that time my father said, hey, you're good in mathematics, so why didn't you get a university degree? Because we hear the government is planning to build a hydropower plant in the mountains, right? And so if you get this degree, you will have a job for life, and you just go there and it will be all beautiful, right? I say, okay, cool. So I went to university, and I went through the program to become a civil engineer and specialized in hydropower plants. And that's actually my degree. But what happened was, when I started back then, computers only started. So I needed to use a slide ruler. I don't know if you still know what that is, right? But I was doing my exams on a slide ruler and on logarithmic tables. And technology evolved so fast, and as a student you need money, so I was looking to earn some money, and there were people who were looking for programmers, and at the university there was a computer. I said, hey, if you're a student, if you're interested to program computers, earn some money, say yes. And I say yes, right? And so I learned myself how to program computers, and as I did that, I enjoyed it. And I even thought about stopping my education and switching to computer science. And then I realized that computer science is moving so fast, the world of IT is moving so fast, that if I stop my education as a civil engineer and I go into computer science, what I will learn in that program, most likely 3 years later, will be obsolete, right? So I decided to continue my education. I became a civil engineer. I started to also program computers for finite elements and structural analysis and digital terrain models and these kind of things. And I thought I would go and get a job in the construction industry applying computer science. But as life is, I met my wife. She was from a different city, and I applied for a job with IBM. And actually where my passion was and where my private learning was and where I saw that my lifelong learning, at that time I didn't know it would be lifelong, but where my learning journey started and I enjoyed it, that turned into my profession, right? So if I look back and all that I have learned in IBM in different business units and what I've dealt with transformational projects and where IT is, and with me now being the CTO of Asia Pacific, looking to you, I believe you live in very, very exciting times, right? And so what has happened? The slide rulers are gone. The pocket computers have turned into very powerful machines that we call iPhones or Android devices. The computer industry has evolved. We have cloud. We have an infrastructure where everybody has access to compute power. The world is connected, and we live in the digital world where everything is transforming into a digital reality. And what was once a natural resource, as Ginny Rometty said, which is oil, turned into data being a natural resource, right? And there's no way you can make use of a natural resource unless you can get it out of the soil and transform it into energy or whatever. And the same is true with data. And if you can make sense of the data, and if you can these days understand how to get insights from data, you can do magnificent things. Now, when the internet started, we could access through Google easily all kind of data, but that is only the starting point. Now we see that searching on the internet is a given, but the next thing is how then can we then connect things and get blockchain and other technologies to actually run businesses on it, right? How can we have machine learning and deep learning algorithms work with the data. And that is, again, instrumental for companies because 80% of the data is not searchable. It's within the companies, within the corporations. And as cloud has become a reality, but still so much data is in a safe environment, the future of cloud and how we connect that is going to be critical, right? And if you look into the algorithms that give the insights from this data today, machine learning, deep learning, and where the infrastructure for that is heading, we are getting into the next phase of artificial intelligence. So the way we look at artificial intelligence as it started is essentially, as we call, narrow AI. So AI is artificial intelligence. The machine can learn and it can deal with a problem, but it is a very specific problem. So that is where artificial intelligence started. And that is what is solved today. So we can apply machine learning, deep learning across data and get insights. Then we went into broad AI where we don't look at one specific narrow thing, looking through maybe image data and finding out if this is a bird or a man, right? But really connecting it into a wider business context. But the ultimate goal is the real universal artificial intelligence. And that is many, many years away, okay? So if you look into a universal intelligence and who today has it, it's actually us, right? So if you would happen to land on a new island with nothing other than just you have survived and you arrive on that island, with your intelligence, you would find a way to create new tools, to deal with a situation that you have not been trained for, to get food, find food, survive, maybe even escape the island. There is no machine today that you can drop into something that is completely unknown to the machine, and the machine would find its way and get creative and find solutions to the problems, right? So we are on an artificial intelligence journey, but people start to sometimes be afraid of AI, and I don't think that that is where we are. So you all working in a university or being a student of a university, and everybody of us being in a business and in life, will go through a lifelong learning like I did. I started with slide rulers, and I am now in IT, and I have the privilege to look at all this, what has evolved. We all will benefit from artificial intelligence and access to information support or whatever you call it, but we will have data that we don't need to read and analyze. We will have machines supporting us. And from there, we will make intelligent decisions and we will see the whole thing progress. So everybody of us will have, in the future, technology supporting us in our daily life to an extent we never even thought would be possible. And also, I believe to an extent that today is completely unknown that it is even possible to happen. So you are living together with me in very exceptional times, We go through a very bright future, as I believe. And also the underlying technology is changing. So if I bring it back to where IBM sometime 100 years or so ago was starting, it was about building machines that help with addressing business problems, dealing with data, with sensors or collecting data and processing data. So now today we all see the compute power in the cloud, and we believe that everything that can be done today actually can also be done in the future. And if there's a problem that a computer can handle, we believe not a big deal. If there's a new problem that hasn't been handled by a computer, we believe, okay, the next supercomputer will do that, right? And actually, it turned out that this assumption that everything can be computed or simulated today is not true, right? So I don't know how much you follow the development of the next generation of algorithms and computing and artificial intelligence, quantum computing, okay? So I see some people smile. So if you look at it that way, you realize that, again, IBM is completely leading in the world because the only universal quantum computer available today that you can use for education, for research, is actually available from IBM, and you can access that through the cloud. And why is it that some problems cannot be dealt with by a computer or artificial intelligence today? And that has to do with the computers of today translating every problem into zeros and ones, right?
binary digits. There's either electricity or no electricity flowing through the circuit. And that is not really a very effective representation of reality. The world is quantum mechanical, right? So if you want to simulate some materials or medical treatments, medicine, if you want to get into a better future and find cures for some illnesses, you need to have something that is better than zeros and ones. And ideally, you simulate and get insights from nature by following a methodology, a mechanism that actually is how nature works, and that is quantum physics, quantum mechanical elements. So the quantum computing that you see is happening now, and that will come into our lives as the next thing supporting us, works in a way that there is not a 0 or 1 as a binary digit holding the base information. It's actually a quantum bit, right? So it's a quantum mechanical state of an element. And in order to produce that, you need to get almost down to absolute 0. So the quantum computer that we have gets the chip down to almost absolute 0, which is colder than out there in outer space. And then we have found the method that we can get this qubit into the information states that a qubit can hold, right? Which is a 0, a 1. It can also be a 0, 1 at the same time. And there's also quantum mechanical elements where you can even connect two qubits and they are entangled. So you can think about this like two coins, right? And the coin is spinning. And if you look at the coin at a very specific moment in time, you either see the front side of it or the back side of it or whatever side you see because it's spinning. If you have an entangled qubit, it spins in sync. So there is no connection in between. But if you read this qubit at a specific point in time, you see the phase, you know that the entangled one also shows the phase. Now, if you have this kind of a element to code information into that element, the information in each qubit is much richer than in the traditional bit, and also the way the calculations are done with every step are much bigger. So this opens possibilities to simulate new materials and find new medicine that cannot be done with a traditional computer, right? So we are really getting into the next phase of possibilities from a compute model, from an intelligence model, that will become some tools that we will use. And same as I can't build a car, I understand basically in principles how it works. I'm a happy user of a car, and we will all be happy users of such technologies that are coming our way and that are becoming available right today, right? So I think with the university and all the programs that you have, also in law school, which seems maybe a little bit further away from quantum computing today, you will get into a future where technology will increasingly support all of us and make us much, much more effective in communicating with each other, working towards business outcomes, and also it will definitely be a journey of lifelong learning. So I hope you will enjoy it, and I hope you found this little introduction about technology interesting.
Maybe something related to the smart city projects which you have worked, because this is very new in India. So some professors will be interested to learn about smart city projects.
Yeah, so the Smarter Cities project is a program where cities can submit a problem to IBM. And they can say, I'm the city of Burlington, I have invested into smart meters, and I want to understand how can I use these smart meters to address the issue of waste of energy. So I want to make better use of energy, right? Or another city like Brussels submitted and said, hey, we have these 18 districts. It's actually an aggregation of smaller independent mayors and areas. And we have this problem of coordinating and managing our traffic. Can you send a team of experts that would just look at our problem and look for smart, intelligent ways how this problem can be addressed? So it's a competition where different cities submit their problems, and I was talking now about the two where I was selected to help. And an IBM team is looking at the problems submitted, and they select the most challenging ones or the most interesting ones, and then executives get assigned to look at what the reality is of the problem, what the infrastructure is, and to create ideas how these problems can be addressed, right? So I was very blessed to be selected for Burlington in Vermont in North America. And as I said, the project was triggered by an investment that the city of Burlington made into dark fiber. So they put a connection, dark fiber connection, into every home. Burlington decided to deploy smart meters. But they didn't really know what to do to make best use of it, right? And there were ideas about shared cars, right? There were ideas about maybe controlling the air conditioning centrally, so that, for example, the city of Burlington doesn't need to invest in the next power plant just to satisfy peak consumption of electricity that happens when everybody at lunchtime switches on the stove to cook food, and at the same time the air conditioner is running. So we came up and said, hey, if you have a smart meter and you can control it centrally, you can actually centrally reduce the air condition for maybe 5 minutes, or you scale it back by 10-15%. So you shave off the peak workload, and by this you can avoid that you need to have a new power plant just to satisfy the peak workload, and the electric grid doesn't collapse, right? So we were looking into a fleet of shared cars, which are electric cars, and of course if you have electric cars, they have a battery. So if they are connected and are charging, and again you get into a peak condition of electricity consumption, you can turn the whole thing around. If you have smart meters, if you have dark fiber, you can say, hey, wait a minute, this car now is anyhow fully charged. There's very little probability based on artificial intelligence, machine learning, that all these cars will start moving immediately and need the full load of electricity. So why don't we take this car that is fully loaded and we make it a battery, we take energy out to shave off, again, the peak of the electric consumption. And if you do that, you get to a much, much more effective use of infrastructure. You can, of course, get to a more viable commercial model. And you can also save the environment because pollution can be reduced. So we came up with conceptual recommendations in the document. I was talking specifically to that. We also looked into an existing biomass power plant. So they had a plant already up and running where they took wood chips and they fired it. And we said, hey, maybe we can also look at a new process that was developed in Europe, where you can turn wood chips, etc., into petrol, right? So these kind of things. So it's a really rewarding program because it's getting very close to even research. So you, as an executive, you go there, you find the problem, you find whatever exists as an infrastructure and as capabilities, but then you try to look at it with a complete fresh view. Nobody who is on a Smarter Cities team should have been involved with any of the problems before. So you go with a complete clean sheet, fresh view, and with the creativity, with the general AI, so to speak. you look at the problem and you propose specific initiatives that will help solve this issue. So that is what Smarter Cities is.
So in that case, since majority of them are faculty members, and you are at the client side, so
Right.
what are those kind of changes do you think that should be brought into the school as far as delivery of content is concerned, so that students are ready for Industry 4.0, students are ready for the future?
Yeah.
What are your expectations?
So my expectation is that most of all of you should be aware that you are really blessed as an individual, right? And that the journey is only starting here. It's not going to end. So the mindset from day one should be for lifelong learning. So I hope that when you go through the curriculum here and you will have access to the technology that we will, together with you, make available or have made available, that you can take maximum advantage of it, but that also you will come back and build on this, right? So my expectation is that we do not believe that an education program, also like in my own case, where you go through an education and then have finally a degree, is the end of the story. It's actually the beginning of the story, right? So life is a journey more than ever, and lifelong learning is a blessing, right? And we will all see new technologies come in this regard, take the maximum advantage of the technologies that we give you, understand how you can translate them into outcomes, right? How you can apply them. Use your creativity to build on this and bring it back to both the university and your future employers. And don't stop. Don't stop. So keep going, keep looking into what is available today from the internet and all the curricula, and go on a lifelong journey and explore where technology and your own capabilities can get you to. That would be my hope and my desire.
I also read books on how technology is evolving, and many a times it looks very scary about the way technology is evolving and how we are lagging behind. I read somewhere that in future there will be two set of people, and one set of people always think that in 2015, 20, 25, people were working to make money to survive in the world. At that point of time, people will not be working, machines will work for them. That is a kind of future that are being projected today, that artificial intelligence will grow so big, people don't have to work. They just relax, and the artificial intelligence tools and robots will take over the world. They will manage everything and generate resources for all of us.
You see, that it's quite interesting, because when you look back, this is not the first time that the technology revolution has actually changed the world and brought all kinds of fears, right? And when I look back to what I read and also what I heard when I was a child, when the telephone was invented, you know what the fear was? What the telephone would do to mankind? So people said, oh, no, don't get a telephone installed at home, because people will not need to leave home anymore. Everybody will talk to each other over the telephone, and maybe it will even impact that there will be no children in the future. You see? I don't think that has happened, okay? And then, then there was the industrial revolution. So when the steam engine was invented, or later on other engines were invented, and people said, no, now the machine will actually do my job. I don't need to go and plow the field. There will be a tractor, and so I will lose my job. Yeah, it has happened. Some jobs changed, right? The job of the farmer changed. But at the same time, the telephone, the tractor, all these technologies have opened up new jobs that nobody thought would even be possible. I think exactly the same thing is true for artificial intelligence. So if you come back to what I briefly touched on, which is there are different categories of artificial intelligence. There's the narrow AI, right, which is a very specific problem, and you find an algorithm, and you find a machine, and the machine can identify from a picture if there's a bird on it or if there's a house on it, and that you can use for quality control, right? So you can have a camera, and it's mounted on a train, and as the train travels, the camera looks to the rail track, and it finds if there's a mark from a wheel that was damaged and hit marks in it, right? Or it finds other quality issues. The same image recognition we use in our chip manufacturing plant. So we had people looking to computers that were basically plugged together, the big machines, and there are cables with many pins. And one of the problems was that the guy who plugged in the cable didn't realize the pin was a little bit bent, and therefore when he plugged in the cable, one of the connections didn't come alive. A quality problem. Machine sits with the customer, it is not working, needs to come back if it escaped quality controls. Today we have cameras doing this. So is it taking away work from engineers? Yes, it is, yes. But there is a new engineer who is actually working on the artificial intelligence that can be used to look at the pins and improve quality by deploying this technology. So the jobs are changing. I don't see general artificial intelligence being anywhere near so that what we can do, being dropped on an island and finding our way, a machine could do. This is many, many years away. So we can all be afraid and try to stop embracing these changes. But the fears that we have and the thoughts that we have about artificial intelligence maybe negatively impacting our life have been the same kind of fears with previous technological revolutions. And same as in the past, people embraced it and took advantage of these technologies to create new jobs, new possibilities, social media, all kinds of new businesses that nobody thought was possible, right? The same thing is happening again. So when the internet started, all of a sudden there was a new worldwide largest telephone company, right? It's called Skype. but they don't even own anything that is the telephone infrastructure, right? They don't even own a telephone that they sell to you or rent to you, because we use the computer, and it's still the largest telephone company. Look at the largest accommodation provider, Airbnb. They don't own any property. They don't have a hotel, and still they rent out rooms. So nobody envisioned that this would happen. Nobody even saw it coming. But creative people like yourselves, or all of us, embracing new technologies, all of a sudden find out that such things can be possible, and new business models evolve, and a new future evolves. The only hope is that we use that to the benefit of humanity and not for stupid things like weapons.
Thank you. Let's give a big hand. We also have with us Mr. Prabhat Manocha, who is a client IT architect. Maybe I'll request him to speak a few words.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, good afternoon, and many thanks for inviting. And it's our pleasure to have Christain with us. And in fact, I happen to be part of his team and understood a lot of work which we are doing, not only for an organization but for a mankind, and how it is actually changing the world. That's what we are encountering. Of course, the smarter city, we have been working in India Smart City, and a lot of innovative works, how it will change the citizens, how they will change, how they will interact. That's all we had observed. So what we have observed is industry is changing in much faster pace as we had anticipated. And gone are the days when we used to have some products and they were used to drive our business. Now the business users, the CXOs are getting more involved. They knew the technology and they are taking the more involved decisions. We need to work with them. We need to find ways how technology are going to work in their business. That's how we wanted to work with them. And we also observed there are a lot of business models are changing. As Christain just now said, the largest telecommunication company is Skype, who does not own any telecommunication field. Or we had seen largest taxi organization, Uber, who does not own any taxi. Or largest content provider, we had seen Facebook, he doesn't own any content. Alibaba, you all know that it's the largest e-marketplace, whereas he doesn't own any of the warehouse. So the business models are changing. The data is changing. The data is increasing. The 90% of the data has actually evolved in last 2 years. And every year the data is getting doubled. So data is a field, data is an oil, data is an ascent for all of us, and whosoever owns data is actually making the changes and changing the paradigm how exactly the organizations are working on. We also observed that analytics is able to provide us an insight, but whereas cognitive can actually put insight into knowledge. It can understand the data and understand any kind of data, whether it is a structured data, it's an internet data, unstructured data, your voice, your video, your books, all these things they can understand. They can interact and say they can provide contextual understanding of what the data is. They can reason what the data is, how exactly this is going to change. And of course they can learn. There are technologies like machine learning and self-learning which can change, which can learn of its own. You don't need to teach them, automatically it can learn. And it can interact with you in your natural language. So the barrier between the machine and the system is changing, and it has changed. I can give you an example. In analytics, with an envelope, you can see that they can search for a zip code and provide from where it is. But now with an artificial intelligence, by looking just for an envelope and the date, let's suppose it's 14th of Feb, it can tell you it's a Valentine Day card. So everywhere organizations are moving towards it. We did a survey, and 7 out of 10 CEOs are looking forward to use cognitive. 50% of CEOs have actually started implementing cognitive technologies. So we had seen 85% of startups, either in a field of FSS or retail or healthcare, they are actually using cognitive. IBM fortunate to be part of this technology. We have patent on this technology more than all of the companies combined together. We have more patents on this technology. We had been working with the government all across. In fact, Christain just now shared lot of use case and experience in globe. Whereas in India, although we specifically had worked a lot in this field, I just give you an example. My friend's father had applied for there was an India-Pakistan series in 1983. And in doing that, he had actually applied for a passport. In 1983, by the time he got his passport, the bilateral series was over. Because that type of technology and infrastructure we had. Then the Passport Seva came in. And we all know the mission mode project of Passport Seva. By implementing that, we all know that with just 2 weeks, you get your passport delivered. Now we are working with Passport Seva to do an advanced analytics by which if somebody familiar in social media, let's suppose I love football and in Russia some football match is coming, looking at the social media, they can direct you that in order to watch that match, you can actually apply for a visa and this is the document it is required. So you can see how the artificial intelligence has helped not the technology but the user. So it has imbibed into users' need. That's how it is being leveraged. We are the cricket-loving nation, and we all know that cricket is the one which everybody likes. So there are artificial intelligence applications in an area where the selection of a team is being done leveraging artificial intelligence. We are working with NIC, which sees how Tendulkar plays, how he actually do a drive, and can it be implemented in other parts or can it be implemented in others players. So those are the area, the way it has been used. In area of agriculture, we are the largest manufacturer of sugar. We know in some parts we actually export sugar, some parts we import sugar. So if we know that if we can predict this is what a crop, can we actually eliminate that? The answer is yes. So we are working with Niti Aayog to do a prediction of agriculture. So crop, which is prediction we are doing. So that is actually going to change the life cycle of citizen, how technology is interfacing with the citizen. Not only artificial intelligence, other technologies like cloud or blockchain. So these are the new innovative technology which are changing the way citizen interface with others. So gone are the days when technology being treated as a technological piece. It is the citizen services, how they are interfacing with that's changing. So it's a wonderful platform for us to be working with these kind of technology, where how these technology are imbibed into the education and academia so that we can take it to a larger organizations, larger community, to the students, in which they will not only learn about the technology, but how to leverage that technology into our day-to-day life. That's what we have been doing. And thank you for inviting us.
Thank you. So I'll request Gunjan to introduce the program in a couple of minutes' time.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
You can sit. There's a new program which we have launched with IBM for Executive Business Analytics program.
So good afternoon, everyone. We are running behind, schedule, and so I've rushed through this exciting program, and this wonderful and inspiring talk by Christian. Thank you for being here, Prabhat. So this is the program of one-year executive post-graduate program that I was talking about in the area of business analytics, and as you can see, definitely associated with IBM. So we did some background study, finding out that how can we project it, in when we go out to the students or to the executives. So we did some region-specific, India-specific research, and to find out what are the key trends and where the world is going. As you were mentioning, there's a continuum and a journey, right? So this kind of figures just telling us that what are the salary trends, what are the trends in the technology, and what are the skills needed to meet those technology trends. So I could easily see that being a business school, we didn't want to focus on more on the technical side of the analytics, right? So we wanted to focus more on that how analytics can help decision making, which is a key skill for any management professional. So research like this, which was carried on by NASSCOM in one of their recent report, we just used that. And we could clearly see that domain knowledge, visualization, and functional specific skills are one of the most important skills that are sought after in a management professional who is using or working in the area of analytics. So this is the key features of the program. The basis of whatever we could understand from those reports and the marketing trends, we tried to imbibe all that in our program. And these are the key features. So we have kept it as a one-year weekend program, since this will be positioned for working professionals, so they may not compromise on their career. They can study while they are doing their job. And we'll be running this program from our Delhi facility. So we've got a wonderful campus and state-of-the-art facility in Delhi, which is the heart of the country, and the city, of course, the campus that we have got. So this will have 350 plus hours of face-to-face contact hours, plus 100 plus hours of hands-on learning, right? Which is a unique aspect of this, because we see a lot of distance and online mode of programs coming into this space. So we thought that a face-to-face interaction might be of interest for the professionals. We also pretty unique in nature. What we've done, we have designed this program in a modular way. So I'll come to that a little later. On the delivery front, this is going to be a hybrid program, which the delivery mode, which means that all the classrooms will be streamed live. So while there will be students who will actually be sitting into the class, attending the sessions, the same session will gonna be streamed live using the technology. And students can actually just log into their facility, maybe a mobile phone and a laptop, and they can attend those sessions, ask questions, which will get answered by the faculty. So this gives the flexibility to the working professionals of not just being a weekend, but they can, so all the recorded sessions would also be made available to them. So these are the key objectives of the program. Sorry if I'm too fast, but I'm sure everyone can catch up with that. So these are the key objectives. As I said, that the key objective that we were looking at was to enable students to use analytics and data-driven decision-making, which is chances are more that those decisions are going to fetch much more value than just decisions which people make based out of their gut and feelings. So that has been the dominating theme across the objective. So we want to equip students with the desired skill sets. Obviously, people who are already in this space would want to advance their career, may want to get ahead of the curve, or maybe even if they walk with the curve, that should be enough for them. So we have courses which are actually lying in what is happening, and then we've got certain courses with the help of IBM Skill Academy, which are ahead of the curve. So we are looking at both the things here. There are certain softwares which are pretty much in demand, definitely helps in the career aspirations. People are there. These are the key learning objectives that we've got here. So ability to data-driven decision making, the topmost. We've got realize the importance of social media as part of business strategy. This has been downplayed for a long time, and now is taking a lot of central stage. We handle unstructured data, as you were mentioning, that it's not only about the structured data anymore. So I think it's more going to be unstructured data than the structured one. Then understand the essentials of business and analytics, work on multiple platforms, and ability to build impactful and insightful data visualizations. Very important for a management professional, I believe. And this is what I was talking about, the modular nature of the program. So we have split this entire one-year program into 3 different modules. Module 1 would be on the essentials of business and analytics. So this is specially targeted for people who are from engineering and non-management background, because unless you understand business, even if you know analytics, that would not count much for you, because at the end of the day, you're working on a business problem, you're working for business, you must understand business. So this essentially is a module which talks about business problem, slightly tweaked to suit the requirement of the number game into the different management functions that we've got out there. Term 2 is a certificate program that might be done on advanced business analytics. As you can see, we've got courses out there on machine learning, artificial intelligence. We are doing a certificate program with the Skill Academy. On blockchain also, we've got a certification out there. We've got advanced statistics, text analytics, and all the advanced analytics program. And finally, we've got term 3, which is more of analytics in application. Right, so when we talk about, as you were mentioning about the smart city project, right, so you'll have to think of an exciting business problem, right, and you should have the ability to apply all that you know. So that is combines your business acumen plus your proficiency in the analytical tools and the statistical techniques. So we're talking about risk analytics, we're talking about fraud analytics, we're talking about churn analytics and all that, which is more of the application of if you know analytics and business. So that's how we are packaging it. And we are hoping to get good response from the market. These are some of the statistical techniques that we thought would be covering in. And obviously we got some input from IBM on the curriculum. So these were the key trends. We also did some market research to find out that what are the top techniques when we talk about predictive analytics, or when we talk about all of the sort of analytics. So these are some of the statistical techniques that would be covered. This is a bit on our program pedagogy. So got hybrid mode of delivery, online LMS, which is standard feature. Any university or educational institute which is aspiring to be the top notch would have these facilities, but we are a little better in that regard in terms of infrastructure and all. So these are our target audience, 1, 2, 3 years of experience, people who are still looking at analytics and they want to build their career in that and want to move ahead in their career, right? So, and young engineering graduates or management professionals, because it's an exciting time. Definitely we are blessed that technology revolution is happening, and the right skilled people would definitely find what they deserve. So it's our responsibility that we help them bridge that skill gap, and that's what the target group we are looking at. And that's it, short. Yeah, thank you so much.
So Oliver is a part of this journey with us, I know about for 5, 6 years now, so we're working together. You want to say?
I think this is pretty interesting because this is the first time we are launching an executive program in the NCR. We've been doing quite a few programs with universities for the undergraduate and the postgraduate audience. But in the NCR region, we don't have an executive program which is currently available. And this is the first time that we're taking this to the market. We've done an internal dipstick. Quite a few IBMers themselves are very excited to be taking this program on. So let's begin with this journey in this part of the city. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, when I request you now to please felicitate the guests. Yeah.
So before that, I thank Mr. Christain to find some time and be with us. We know we are very remotely located campus, but if you want to have a big size campus, you can't be inside Delhi, and then that's the reason why we are here. And of course, everybody is toiling hard with the pollution levels in Delhi.
Yeah. So you see, I mean, first of all, congratulations. I think the curriculum that you have is absolutely brilliant. Now, if you come back or reflect on what I briefly said, which is when I started as an engineering program, I found at the university that I can earn money programming computers and get to know computers, and it has influenced my life. What you are doing is actually have it as a program. So you have the analytics piece, you have the applied machine learning, deep learning, Python, all the elements that I saw. What I discovered myself, you have institutionalized. So when you go through this program, I'm definitely convinced that you basically have the driving license to succeed on the roads of your life. So congratulations.
Thank you.